That makes sense. I know I talked a little bit about, you being so adventurous with starting her with soup so early. So I guess did you really start with them eating all of the different kind of traditional foods at that early age? And if so, as I already said, very, very, a lot of kudos for you. Hear a little bit about sort of how you handled approaching introducing that because I think as most parents I think would agree like it can be a little bit daunting to introduce foods that with picky eaters like get a lot of rejections all of that so that can be a very challenging thing for parents so I think it would be helpful to share for other listeners who are kind of looking for ideas as they try to get their children to introduce food items to their children.
Well, thank you. I feel, with my first child, we were very into having no sugar. His birthday cake was a pancake that I could microwave from Trader Joe's. It wasn't a cake at all. And then, my daughter came and he was already eating sugar at that point, 2 years into his life. And so we don't hold back. We eat all the sugar. So babka, she's tried pretty much every item in that book. She loves blintzes, and he loves blintzes, but I think he likes it more with the whipped cream and the berries and everything on top. I think the matzo ball soup though it's such a good gateway to traditional foods because it's kind of you don't need teeth for any of it. Matzo balls are pretty easy to gum down, and then there's parsnips and carrots in it and shredded chicken, and all of it can just be eaten without teeth. So that's what I grew up having as baby food. My mom would just mash it from the soup, and so it felt just like a natural progression for me to do that for my kids and to introduce them to the food because it was already there and just make it easier. Plus, it's really fun to play with for kids. There's a really nice
Yeah.
tactile component to it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not Jewish, but like to me, and that's why it's interesting to hear you talk about it, because like
Yeah.
that would have been an interesting kind of combination to try with our kids because I don't think they've had a lot of those items at all. So
Mm-hmm.
I think anything like that where you're mushing it up with them and they're getting to kind of play around and taste it, I think is a great introduction to, any kind of food. And that would be a great addition for I think anyone at that age to try out as well. That's very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I think broth is more challenging for sure, but the components I think are easier. The My daughter tends to make soup into kind of a paraffin. She puts her hands in and she kind of like rubs them around and then she ends up being coated in it. So it's a bath before the bath. But soup aside, the matzo ball components I think are really great for babies.
Yeah, no, I think so too.